Hello, everyone. My name is Josh, and welcome to Foothills Budgeting Made Easy. I'm going to be your guide this evening. Just a couple of things real quick. If you have any questions throughout the presentation today, go ahead and throw those in the chat. We are going to have a time at the end. We'll do a little Q&A. We'll take a look at those and I'll be able to answer some of those questions for you. Everyone's muted. I don't even think you have a choice on that. You all have to listen to me. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So like I said, my name is Josh. I've been with the credit union for a little over 4 years now. I'm a member service consultant. When you walk into the branch, I'm sitting at one of those desks out in the front. I work primarily out of the Arcadia branch, though I've been time to time going to Covina. I'm a CUNA certified credit union financial counselor. It's a mouthful. What that means is, well, I know what I'm talking about. I help our members create budgets. I can help them with their credit scores. My job is to basically, they come to me in different financial situations that they maybe want to get out of, improve different things, and I help them with that. And then just some fun facts about me. I love Star Wars. If you've ever come into the Arcadia branch, I'm the guy with the Star Wars stuff on his desk. I'm a big fan of the Dodgers, despite the slow start to the season that they've been having. And I am a musician, primarily a drummer. So we're going to talk about a few different things today. We're going to be talking about knowing your budget, how to become familiar with the budgeting process, creating a budget, tips for successful budgeting, things of that nature. We're also going to be talking about the importance of saving, as well as setting different savings goals, kind of get you in the habit of doing that saving. So to start, we're going to talk about what is budgeting. Budgeting is the process of creating a plan to spend your money. So you use your budget to balance your expenses with your income. So as you earn money, you use your budget to track and manage your cash flow. And you can also, you earn money, you see what comes in, and then you see what goes out, where it's going, who it's being paid to, how much it's going out. Just gives you a better idea of where your money is going, which is really important for financial health. A lot of people don't realize that they spend more than they earn in a month, and they actually end up slowly sinking deeper into debt every year, every month. Now, none of us want that to happen. And so today we want to give you the tools that you need to start your own budget so you can avoid that. So why is budgeting important? Well, for starters, it helps you keep track of your money. When you use a budget, you know how much money is coming into your account, how much money leaves your account. It also tells you where it's going. And you just generally know how your money is being spent. It also makes it easier to save money. Having a plan for your money makes it a lot easier for you to be able to actually put money away, which in turn also helps you achieve your savings goals, which I'm going to talk to you about a little bit later. It also is going to help keep you from overspending. It helps you to just in general not spend too much in a month, but it also allows you to set certain spending limits to achieve not overspending. You also want to, it will also make sure that you have enough money to pay your different bills and debts. It not just helps you make sure that you have enough money, but it can also help you get into a rhythm and kind of plan your bill payments out. So the primary way that we use the budget in my house is we actually know when all of the payments are due. So like my mortgage payment is due at the beginning of the month, the first probably. So I know the payment for that comes out of my last paycheck of the month before. And we use the budget to kind of just help plan those payments out. So that's another one of the benefits for budgeting. Some common roadblocks that people run into, I've seen some members run into this as well. One of them being that a lot of people feel that there's this mentality of it's all or nothing. You have to track every single penny that you spend, every single penny that comes in goes out of your account. And that's daunting. I don't do that. That's a lot. And a lot of people get this feeling that, oh man, I don't want to have to do that. And they just wind up never even starting a budget. They never create a budget. Let me just say, if that's going to be an issue for you, if you feel like I cannot track every single penny that comes in or out of my account, That's okay. You don't have to do that. It's more important for you to actually create a budget than it is how you track your spending. Even just getting a general idea of where your money is coming from and going to is going to be a very big help in getting financially stable and achieving financial health. Another roadblock is how labor intensive creating your budget and tracking your spending can be. Even if you're not tracking every single cent, writing or typing out a full budget form and then tracking, even just the general purchases, it can be a lot of work. Now, fortunately, there are a few tools that can make this process a little easier for you. They can calculate everything up, do some of the math for you. There's also even some budget programs or forms that you can utilize online, a lot of which are free. I'm going to talk about that right now. So, like I said, there's a lot of tools available to use. You want to take advantage of them. A lot of them are free and a lot of them are paid. I don't recommend using a paid one. There's too many good free ones out there for you to be paying for someone else to be, analyzing your budget. But just because something is free also doesn't mean that it's good. There's some pretty not great ones out there. One of the good ones, shameless plug, Foothills Online Banking actually has a budgeting platform that you can use, and it's actually very, very good. The way it works is you go to your online banking, and there's your little widgets on the side. You go down to the one that says more, and then there's a budget option, and you can go in and you can generate your own budget. You can create different categories for things like food, clothing, books for school, credit card payments, gas money, whatever it is. You create those different categories, and then you can actually itemize each of your transactions in your transaction history to fall underneath these different categories. So you went and spent $8 at Taco Bell for lunch today or something. That shows up in your transaction history. You can actually click that transaction and say, oh, that shows up under food. And then when you go back to your budget, you can see, hey, I spent $8 this month so far, and out of my budget for $100 for the month. So I've got $92 more I can spend eating out for the rest of this month. That's kind of how the Foothill one works. Now, you can also use programs like Excel to create your own budget form. You can download some of them as well. You should have all gotten a budget analysis form as an attachment somewhere. I'm getting a thumbs up. Yes, you should have. You're welcome to open that up and look at it if you'd like. I'm going to have some screenshots of it, so you don't have to. But you're welcome to use that form. That is actually the budget form that I use for my members. It's a fairly basic generic budget, but it gives you a really good idea of some of the things that you should be tracking. If you go to create your own budget, you can add to this one, take from it if you really know you're not going to be spending in any of those categories. It's entirely up to you. Like I said, creating the budget and making it work for you is more important than exactly how you're tracking it. Everyone's going to be doing it a little bit differently. You can use these forms to just get the general idea of your spending. You can go in and track out every cent if you actually want to. That's totally okay. So we're going to take a look at, this is just some screenshots of the budget form that you should all have, just to give you an idea of some of the things you should be looking at. What we're looking at now is the average monthly, average monthly expenses. You'll notice it's broken down into different categories: housing, food, transport, personal, and then each one of those has little subcategories. What you would do is you would go to each of those subcategories and you track out how much you either want to spend or how much you actually did spend on those items. So things like, especially in housing, your rent and mortgage, your utilities, your home insurance, most of those are going to be the same every month. So it's pretty easy to go in and go, this is how much my rent is. This is how much my home insurance is. Utilities are going to fluctuate a little bit. You'll spend more on electricity in the summer, all that jazz. Next, you want to look at food. That's going to be covering the cost of things like groceries and eating meals out. Transport is going to be how much you spend on gas, any car maintenance, expected or unexpected. Cars need oil changes. If you have to pay for parking at school, at your apartment, car insurance, things like that. And then personal, that's pretty much anything that doesn't fit in those first three categories, but you've got your things like clothes, electronics, haircuts, makeup, gifts, donation, entertainment. You figure out what's going to fit into those categories, or you create your own categories. And I go to the movies a lot, so movies has its own category, and then anything else can fit under entertainment. something like that. And then at the very bottom there, it's just going to tally up everything and it will tell you what your total monthly expenses are. You'll also notice at the bottom there, it says savings. You've got emergency fund and other. If you are going to be putting money away for savings, which at the end of this, I will convince you to be putting money away for savings. That's going to be happening. You would tally that in as well. And then your monthly living expenses would be your total expenses plus everything that you're putting away in savings. On the other side, you're looking at your average monthly income. That's going to be your take-home pay. So after taxes, deductions, all of that. If you have a roommate or other income, or you have a partner and they have income that's coming in, you're going to put all of that on the form there. And then that will tally up your total monthly income. And then it subtracts your total monthly expenses and gives you the amount available for your debt. And then right beneath that, you've got the area where you would actually put in the debt information. So you're going to put in the creditors. So like your Foothill credit card, which you should all have, right? The Foothill, you're going to put the creditors Foothill Credit Union. The balance is going to be whatever the balance is on the card. And then the payment is whatever your monthly payment is. And you do that for everyone that you make payments to. It tallies that total up, subtracts it from that other amount, the amount available for debt, and then it gives you your bottom line. And that is all of the money after you've paid everyone and after all your income has come in, how much you should have at the end of the month. Obviously, we want that to be a positive number and not a negative number. Sometimes it's going to happen where it's a negative number. That's okay. We're here to help with that. But using this tool can give you a much better understanding of if your money is in the positive or in the negative. So once you've selected the tool that you're going to use, the form, however it is you're going to track your budget, you need to start breaking down your monthly expenses. And there's a few different ways you can do that. First, you're going to start by breaking it down from paycheck to paycheck. That's going to be your pretty common expenses, groceries, food, gas money, the things that you're buying pretty regularly. Next, you're going to look at your month-to-month expenses. That's going to be things like utilities, loan payments, rent, basically anything that you pay just once a month. And then you're going to add that to the budget. Now, the next two are quarterly and annually. And the way you add that to a monthly budget is you take the total payment for your quarterly, whatever payment amount you get every 3 months, and then you divide it by 3. And then you add that amount to your budget. And that'll give you the average cost per month of what that payment is going to be. And then annually, obviously the same thing. You just take that payment amount, divide it by 12, and add it to your monthly budget. For most of you, probably, quarterly and annual payments are not going to be something that you see too regularly. I can only think of one quarterly payment that I have to make, and it's my trash bill, because for some reason they only charge me once every 3 months. I don't know, but that's how it gets done. And then annual payments is going to be things like taxes, registrations, those things that you only have to pay once a year, basically. So now that you've determined what your monthly expenses are, you need to figure out the order that everyone is going to get paid. So you owe on your debts, you owe your bills, but the very first person who should be paid is yourself. The very first thing you should be doing once you get your paycheck in, you put it in the account, you need to put a little bit in savings. You need to be getting into that habit of paying yourself first. And then once you've done that, then you can go and pay your bills, pay your debt, and all of that. Now, depending on your income and expenses, the amount that you put in towards your savings may be different. It might be different from other people. It might be different even for yourself, just on a month-to-month basis. Some months are going to look different than others, and you may be able to one month put more money towards your savings than in the next month. And that's okay. It's not about how much you're putting in there. It's about you just putting something in there, even if it's just a few dollars. Now, if you have the ability to just put 10% of your paycheck into a savings, that's fantastic. Go for it, do it. I highly encourage it. But if you don't, you don't, and that's okay. It's just about getting into the habit of paying yourself first and creating the savings, building that up, even just a little bit at a little bit at a time. That's going to make a big difference in the long run. So once you've paid yourself, you pay your bills, you pay your debt, anything left over at the end of the month is your spending money, or your fun money, as I like to call it. you can use this money for whatever you want. If you want to go out and have some fun, if you want to spend it on something fun, you are welcome to do that. If you want to put more money in your savings, which is the way I recommend you do it, you're welcome to do that. Or you can use that money and pay it towards your debt so you can pay it off faster. The beauty of that is it's really up to you what you want to do with it. So one of the hardest things to do when you're creating a budget, when you're trying to stick to a budget, is separating wants from needs. Especially at a younger age, it can be very difficult. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list a few things, and I want you guys to just take a minute, think about if you think this is a want or a need. So running water, is that a want or a need? What about the latest iPhone? It's like the iPhone 13 or something. I don't know. I don't have the latest iPhone. Okay, what about just a working cell phone? Doesn't have to be fancy, just a cell phone. What about a PlayStation 5? I know what some of you were thinking, but it's not that. Okay, what about a car? And then I mentioned Taco Bell earlier, and now I'm hungry. So Taco Bell for dinner. Is that a want or a need? So when you start to follow a budget, it's important to start thinking about these things. Now, when I said Taco Bell for dinner, you probably said, oh, well, of course, that's a want. But I said PlayStation 5, and some of you probably went, oh, that's a need. I need to have that. Do you, though? Do you really? You need to be honest with yourself in these situations. The point of a budget is to track your spending, obviously, but it's supposed to help you view your spending through a certain lens, which I'll talk about that in a little bit. But when you're trying to determine if something is a want or a need, you need to really be honest with yourself. No, a PlayStation 5 is not a need. No, the latest iPhone is not a need. Now, a working cell phone, that might be a need, especially in the technological age that we live in. Having a cell phone could be a need for a certain age. Having a car could be a need. It could also be a want, depending on your situation. Everyone's situation is going to be at least a little bit different, but you need to look at your situation and determine what is going to be something that I absolutely cannot go on without. It is going to absolutely affect my everyday life if I don't have it. Or is this just something that would improve my quality of life? I know that's tough, but it's very important. So let's say you're looking at your budget and you just don't feel like you quite make enough to be able to save any money, or you are saving, but you're not having enough to put towards your bills, or just in general, you just want to have more money to put away towards savings. What you need to start doing is you need to improve your cash flow, or you're spending money at the end of the month. There's a number of ways to do that. I'm just going to list a few here. The first and probably most common one is don't eat out so much. Don't go out to get lunch or dinner or whatever it is. Even if you're only eating out one meal a day, you're spending $8 to $15 every meal. If you do that once a day, even just 5 days a week, on the lower end, that's $40 a week, which is $160 a month. That adds up. I'm not going to do the math 160 times 12 because I'm not that smart, but it really starts to add up. If you are going to eat out, skip the soda. Just get a water. Water's free. It's better for you anyway. I know it doesn't taste as good as the soda, but you're saving even just a few bucks every meal. Again, it all starts to add up. Take your lunch to school or work. I take my lunch to work almost every single day. I make dinner at night and I take the leftovers to work the next day. It has saved me a ton of money because I don't have to worry about going and buying food the next day. Buy generic brands. You don't have to buy name brand anything. The example I always go to is DayQuil and NyQuil. A DayQuil NyQuil combo pack costs like 16 to 17 bucks. You can get the Target, Safeway, whatever generic brand for like half the price. It's just as effective. It does the exact same thing as DayQuil and NyQuil, but you're paying half the price because you're not buying a brand name. It's the same thing. Look for sales. Look for clearance sales. Whenever I buy video games, which is not that often, but when I do, I buy them almost exclusively on sale. I think I've bought one full price video game in the last 2.5 years or something like that. I just always buy my games on sale because I don't need it right when it comes out, and I get it at half the price or even better than that. A big one that's going to you'll start to see it when you are out living on your own, you're paying for utilities and things like that, is looking at your utility bills, specifically your cell phone and internet bills. A lot of times there are services on there or things that you're being charged for that you may not be using, whether it's, they've bundled your internet and home phone to get a better price. It's only a better price on each individual item. But when you bundle the home phone, the internet, and the cable, you're paying more than if you just paid for the internet. So like, do you need that? No one needs a home phone anymore. I'm just going to say it. No one needs a home phone anymore. If you are genuinely going to use cable, maybe it makes sense to combine the two. I don't have cable at my home. I just pay for the internet. And I've been cross-sold multiple times. Hey, did you know that if you bundle your internet and cable, you'd get a discount package? Yeah, I'd get $30 off my internet, which is great. But then I got to pay $60 for cable. So I'm still spending more money for something that I don't really need. So you want to pay attention to your utility bills. You want to pay attention to all of your bills, obviously, but specifically your utility bills. See if there are services or things that you're being charged that you aren't taking advantage of, that you don't need, and request that those be taken off. It'll lower your bill and you'll get some more available funds for the month. Now, doing these things is not just going to magically add $1,000 to your monthly budget, but even if a few dollars here or there it gets added, it really does start to add up. It can help you achieve your savings goals. It can give you more money at the end of the month to put towards, your savings, or you can pay off some of your debts faster. It really does start to make a difference. Now, it's also a good idea for you to look at your spending habits, see what your attitude is towards spending on certain things. Now, there are some areas or some items that you may just spend money on and you don't give it a second thought. And there are other areas where you might kind of stop and think about it before you buy it. So for me, it's clothes, which sounds weird, I know. But if I'm going to buy clothes, I don't really think about it too much. I go, oh yeah, I need a new shirt. Oh yeah, those shorts look cool. I like that shirt. It's a cool graphic tee. I'm going to go buy it. And I just kind of do it. Whereas I'm going to go back to video games. I kind of stop and think about video games and I go, oh, I don't know. Do I really want to spend that much? You can use your budget as a lens to see those areas where you go, wow, I really spend a lot on this. Wow, I kind of buy that without giving it much thought. Maybe I need to pay more attention to that. You can also see the areas where you are a little bit more frugal, where you do stop and think about it. And you can try to have that mindset about other areas in your budget and in your spending. Sometimes in order to have a successful budget, you have to reevaluate your attitude about spending on certain things in order to better improve your cash flow. Now, another great way to improve your cash flow is actually to reduce your debt. The less debt you have, obviously, the more money you are spending towards trying to get it paid off. Now, the first thing you can do when trying to reduce your debt is to stop creating new debt. Don't go get new loans. Don't use your credit cards. Stop adding to the existing pile of debt that you already have. Next, you analyze your debt. You want to get as clear a picture as you can of where are your payments being made? How are they being made? What is the payment amount? When are they due? Who is it going to? Where is it going? Like who is being paid to? And then like literally where is that money being sent to? By getting the most clear picture that you can of your debt, it makes it easier to create the best plan of attack to be able to pay that debt off. Now, I know I just said don't use your credit cards, but if you are going to use your credit cards in case of an emergency, anything like that, do it wisely. You're not going out and buying things you don't need. You're not maxing out your cards. If you are going to use your credit card, let's say for points or something like that, only use it as though it were a debit card. Only buy things you could actually pay out of pocket for. You have the money in your account. Use your credit cards only like that. You don't want to be continually adding to that existing pile of debt. And then whatever you do, if you learn nothing else today, avoid payday lenders. For those of you who don't know, payday lenders basically give you an advance on your paycheck. You go, oh man, I really need just a few $100s to get by before I get paid on my next paycheck, but I don't get paid for another week and a half. What am I going to do? These payday lenders will give you that money, and then you owe them that money back. It's like a regular loan, but they are so predatory. They will charge you insane interest rates. It is not worth it at all. I have a little factoid here. The average payday borrower will spend $800 just to borrow $325. That is more than double what they originally borrowed just to pay it back. It's not worth it. It'll destroy your credit. You'll never pay it off. Avoid it at all costs. There are alternatives. If you really need the money, there are alternatives. Please avoid payday lenders. Okay, so now I've talked about creating the budget, some tips for maintaining a successful budget, things you should be thinking about. I want to transition to talking about spending. So I mentioned that you should pay yourself first when budgeting, and we're going to go over why that's so important, and then just some small goals that you can set for yourself so you can kind of create that good savings habit. So there's a couple of kinds of savings accounts. If you remember from that budget analysis form, there was the emergency savings. I want to talk about that for a second. So this savings is used in times when the unthinkable happens. You've lost your job. You'll be without income for weeks or even months at a time. Hopefully this never happens to you. But if it does, hopefully you don't have to use too much of this money, but you want to have this savings set aside just in case. So the first goal you want to set for your emergency savings is you want to have 1 month's rent. Being able to pay even 1 month's rent can be very helpful in an emergency. Things like your utility bills, some of your other debts, those are important. But being able to keep a roof over your head in an emergency is going to be essential. Your next goal should be 1 month's income. So this would allow you to pay all of those additional debts besides just your rent. Giving yourself that amount of time significantly increases the amount of time that you have to kind of get back on your feet. Either you need to go find a new job, maybe you need to find a new place to live, whatever the situation is. Being able to pay all of your debts for a whole month is going to really relieve the stress on you and give you the ability to do whatever it is you need to do to get back on your feet. Now, that third and final goal, that's going to be 3 months income. That's a lofty goal. It's going to take you a while to get there, and it's not anything you have to rush into. This is going to be one of those situations where it's an absolute emergency, like the absolute worst has happened. You'll be without income for a while. Having 3 months income can really make a difference in being able to kind of get reestablished when it's ready, when it's time for you to either go back to work or find a new job, whatever that situation is going to be. So aside from the emergency savings, we have what's called the set aside savings. This is kind of more what you would think of for like a typical savings account. It's to pay for things that come up that either need to get fixed, those major inconveniences, but you can also set aside money for other things. So major inconveniences are going to be things like car repairs, your refrigerator stops working, like things you have to pay for, but you haven't, necessarily lost any income coming in. It's just you now have to spend more money to get something fixed. A lot of people like to set a goal of $1,000 to just kind of get that established. Some people call that their emergency savings. I'm using a different term here. Whatever you want to call it, you want to have some money set aside for things like that are unfortunately going to happen in life. You can also use this savings to set aside money for more predictable expenses, things like regular car maintenance, like oil changes, getting the tires and brakes replaced, things like that. Paying your taxes, some of those quarterly or annual expenses, you can set money aside in this savings account for those things that you can actually plan for. Now you can also use this savings to build towards your savings goals. That's, putting money aside for a vacation, down payment on a car, a house, whatever it's going to be. Now, next is the retirement savings. Now, I know I'm talking to a younger crowd here, and it's probably way too early for you guys to be thinking about retirement, but I guarantee it is never too early to start saving for retirement. Every little bit is going to help you in the long run. And you've got a few different options as far as being able to put money away for your retirement. So the first is a 401k. You've probably heard that term used a lot. And the way that works is most jobs are going to offer it. Not every job, but a lot of them. They basically take money from your paycheck. They they invest it for you. Essentially, they put it in this, it's called a 401k. And then later in life, after you retire, after you leave that job, whatever it is, you can take the money out. And then you have something called an IRA. Now, an IRA is an individual retirement account. It's similar to a 401k in that money goes in and it's used for retirement, but this one you have a little bit more direct control over. So you actually are responsible for making the contributions to it. You can't take the money out until, it's 59 and a half, I believe. But you also have a little bit more control over how it's invested. Some people like to have this in conjunction with the 401k. That's totally fine. There's a lot of different rules. There's different kinds of IRAs. There's traditional and Roth and stuff. I'm not going to get too heavy into that because I have done a whole seminar on on IRAs. If you have any questions about IRAs, I am an IRA specialist. You can come to the Arcadia branch and talk to me. We've got specialists in Covina and Glendora. Come in and talk to us. We'd be happy to talk to you about IRAs. But what that does is it just basically sets that money aside for retirement for you. Speaking of retirement is a goal. It's something that everyone wants to eventually be able to do. And so we're going to talk about savings goals for a little bit. Creating a goal, it doesn't just motivate you to save to reach that goal. It gets you it gets you used to the concept of having to pay yourself first, get you in a really good habit of paying yourself first, putting that money aside and actually saving, regardless of what your goal is. So I recommend to start, you keep your goal simple. Shoot for something, a couple $100, few hundred, not anything too crazy, something you can achieve relatively quickly. And then you're going to start to set money aside for that. Now you want to set money aside in addition to your regular savings, because you want to continue to build your regular savings. But in addition to that, you want to try to reach this goal as well. And then once you've saved up enough, you've reached that goal, reward yourself and go out and spend the money how you intended to spend it. You have quite literally earned that. You set all that money aside, now go and spend it. It's a reward for you. That makes it, one, worth it. Whether it's going and buying an item, going on a trip, whatever it is you decided to save towards, go out and do it. And now that you have a better idea and understanding of how to save towards those goals, increase your goal, make it a little bit more expensive, get a little bit ambitious. There's nothing wrong with that. You just keep setting goals for yourself. And when you achieve them, you go and do them. That's the whole point of saving towards a goal. Now, keep in mind, when you're creating a goal, you do want to try to make it something that you either really, really want or something that you're really interested in. This just makes it a lot easier to actually save towards that goal. So we're going to talk about short-term goals here. Short-term goals are anything you can achieve in 1 year or less. Doesn't really require too much planning, which is why you can achieve it so quickly. This is going to be things like new phones, game systems. A trip to Disneyland requires some saving nowadays, unfortunately. And then we're going to look at midterm goals. That's anything that takes about 1 to 5 years to complete. Now, it can take this long for a couple different reasons. Either the goal that you've set is a little bit larger, and it's just going to take you that time to save some money, but you also want to use that time to really think about what you're trying to achieve. So I'm going to use a car loan as an example. So let's say you want to put $6,000 down on a car. You raise that, you save up that $6,000, you go and you put that down, and now you've got a car. But you also have a car loan because you have to pay for the rest of that car, unless you manage to find a $6,000 car, in which case, good for you. But now you've got a loan and you have to make payments on that loan. Did you think about that? You have to have car insurance now. Doesn't matter if you bought the car for $6,000 or not, it has to have car insurance. You have to register your car with the state. There's maintenance that's going to be required on the car. Tires might blow out, or you may need to have repairs done to the car. These are the kinds of things that you need to be thinking about. Yes, you want to save towards that goal, but you also need to plan for the additional expenses that are going to come with some of these larger purchases, such as buying a car, going on vacation. If you save up for the airfare and the hotel, that's awesome. You funded like 80% of your trip. But when you get there, you got to spend money. You have to eat. You're probably going to buy some, souvenirs, some clothes, something like that. There are additional expenses that go along with some of these midterm goals. And then long-term goals. These are going to be things that take you 5 or more years to accomplish. Saving for college, retirement, buying a house. And it's the same thing as the midterm goals. You have to think about some of those additional expenses that are going to go along with it. Use the house as an example. So let's say you want to put 60,000 down on a house, 80,000 down on a house. You save a nice down payment. That's going to take you a few years to save up so that you can put that down on a home. But now you've got a mortgage that you have to make monthly payments on. You have to pay for your utilities. You have to pay for groceries. There's homeowners insurance that you have to pay for. Are you going to be the only one paying for it? Are you going to have roommates, or are you going to have a spouse or a partner who's going to help you mitigate those costs? Are you going to be a good child and ask your parents to move in with you and pay for all of their expenses? No, I'm just kidding. Don't do that. You don't have to do that. But those are the kinds of things that you need to be thinking about. Midterm, long-term goals. There are additional expenses that you are going to have to factor in, and you are going to add them to your budget. And you can use your budget to calculate what those costs are going to be, figure out where you need to spend a little less money so that you can pay for your mortgage, so that you can save up for the down payment on the house. The budget is such an essential tool to, what's the word I'm looking for? Financial health. Sorry. The budget is so important to being able to get financially healthy and get to achieve those goals that you want to. There's a couple more things I want you to keep in mind. Don't be afraid to make adjustments. Just because you've created a budget doesn't mean that it's set in stone. It does not mean that you're not allowed to make changes to it, adjust it. Oh man, I want to put more in savings, so I'm going to stop eating out as much. Or you know what, I got a raise. I want to increase the amount that I give myself to buy some clothes or something like that. It's okay to make changes. There's nothing wrong with that. And then make sure that you leave yourself just a little bit of fun money, even if it's just a little bit. Sticking to a budget, it's difficult for sure, but it becomes a lot easier when you're allowed to have a little bit of fun with it. If you leave yourself no room for having any kind of fun on the budget, it's a lot harder to stick to. So you want to, treat yourself just a little bit. So for those of you who may or may not know, we do have a promotion going on this month with our youth accounts for the whole month of April. So for anyone out there watching, if you are not a member of the credit union, if you come in and open up a youth account, a credit union youth account, and you make a deposit of at least $50 into that account, your name will be entered into a drawing to win 4 tickets to Legoland, which I'm jealous that I'm not able to be a part of that. I haven't been to Legoland in years. I really want to go. Enjoy it. If you're an existing member, you obviously don't have to open up a brand new account. You come in and you open up, it's called a Youth Saver Certificate. You open up a new one of those and you deposit $50 into that. That will also get your name entered in to win the 4 tickets to Legoland. Now, I highly recommend the Youth Saver Certificate on all youth accounts. It does not matter what age you are. If you qualify for the Youth Saver Certificate, you should get it. Every single person who comes into the branch that's on a youth account, if I don't see it, I'd talk to them about it. It is a great interest rate. It's a great way to save up your money. Do it, is what I have to say. On screen there, you can see we've got our Money Smart and Money Bound accounts. Money Smart is ages 13 to 17, Money Bound 18 to 24. Parents, if you're listening, if there are any parents out there, we do have younger youth accounts. They would qualify for this promotion as well. But your Money Smart and Money Bound 13 to 24, come in and talk to us. We can open up that account. We can get you a checking account. We can talk to you about savings. I can talk to you about an IRA if you want. Make an appointment with your local branch. We have Arcadia, Covina, and Glendora. Come in and talk to us. We really want to help you out with this. Thank you guys for coming. Like I said, my name is Josh. I really hope you all learned something and that I haven't just been talking and no one heard anything I had to say. And then I think we're going to open it up for some questions now. If you guys typed those in the chat, we're going to do that. One second.
Okay, Josh, I think you did an amazing job. So we are good. We don't have any questions. I think everything was clear and everyone understood everything. So yeah, I think we're good to go. So perfect. Thank you guys for joining us and have a good evening. Don't forget, we also have another seminar on Thursday. That's our auto buying for teens. So hope to see you guys there.